The problems that matter to a system design practice are the ones that have a transformative potential. Yeah, it's not the obvious. It's not the problem that appears to be the next one that you should tackle. It's probably a problem that you don't even know is a problem. It's the unasked question. Yeah. So, but it has a certain transformative potential. It can either become a threat, and at the same time, it's a fantastic opportunity. How do you explore that? How do you pull it forward so that you can get that sense of direction and traction from it? And you do it by that triangulation. That's a trick in a way, but it helps you to carve out from all the possibilities the ones that you should be focusing on, and it allows you to start probing and see what actually helps you to get there. So in adidas, now make it a bit more specific to the company that I work for, bringing it back to a bigger cause, that's the thing that attracts me as a person, why I work for some companies and would never work for others. The belief in adidas from a brand perspective is that we have the power to change people's lives through the ability of sport. And it can start small, since we're really kind of having an historical background in sports, it's about helping athletes to become better in their game. Yeah, that's where you start. But also you can help people to have a better quality of life. Yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect of where we are, where the blending between sports and culture and fashion, for example, is very important to us. It's like dipping deep into the cultural aspects of our brand is, I think, where we're really interested in. But over time, it's also about, through doing that, we have an obligation to have a value in the bigger scheme. Yeah. So how do we become relevant for the world that we all live in? So that's our kind of bigger purpose, why we feel we have a role to play. If I look at what's happening in terms of the obvious problems that we tried to solve, the ones that you could see coming, there's a very strong drive just to take the product that we have and think about, okay, how do we market that out? Yeah, that's what I would call a typical linear problem. Yeah, so you got your intent over here, you got the product over there, and you activate that. I think systemic design can help making decisions in that sense. This slide is about a compass, like if we want to have more informed decisions, like where should we invest our times in terms of marketing in areas where we feel like we can have a chance to win, for example. Yeah, then you can make conscious decisions like here we should, there we shouldn't. Yeah, and you get something like a chart like what we have over there. You have your business positioning and your market play, and you start to kind of have a compass, like we're heading here. These aspects matter. But I think it's a very linear way of looking at it. Yeah, and it will give you some sense of marketing opportunities. But if I add things like systemic problems to it, the world looks far more like this. Yeah, so from a very simplistic point of view, you see all kinds of pots and elements where intent of users are driving behavior and decision making, which is of a completely different nature. It's less linear. It's a bit messy. Yeah, it's contextual. It's far more individual. This is, I think, a much bigger opportunity if you get this one right compared to the linear. Another element that is basically happening with or without us as a company is that a lot of exponential technologies are simply there. Yeah, so when I say like digital is over, things like digital manufacturing will happen with or without our company. As just one of the examples. If you think that through in terms of what that means in how we produce, the shapes and forms that become available, compared to how shoes in a traditional context are made versus how that could look like if you add these technologies to it, that opens up a whole new spectrum of possibilities. If I combine the intent with that digital aspect, that immediately gives a more complex problem, a complex landscape. Yeah. And if I add yet another dimension to it, it's like if we can source materials that would otherwise be seen as waste and pull them into that problem statement, I don't think I will be able to solve that in any meaningful way with a linear approach. This is where I think system design should step in. It's no longer a problem that, no, we've been there, we know how to solve this. This is an unpredictable, quite messy situation that you find yourself in. Yeah, and it calls for a different approach as experience designers, or design in general, I would say. What role does a practice that we can represent have to play in this kind of situation? Yeah, put yourself in the shoes of being the designer, trying to make any sense of such a problem. And it's about this. Yeah, so if I add those three ingredients, I don't want to be the expert in any of these fields. Yeah, there's plenty of expertise available, either in the company or through partnerships or talking to people. That's not the problem. The problem is staring you in the face if you allow yourself to see it. Yeah, so it's this Gestalt principle that makes the difference. One of the things that, as a company, we're looking into is we label it as Futurecraft. It is bringing those three dimensions together into a problem space and try to provide meaningful trajectories, what would make sense for us as well as for our consumers in the bigger cause of our role that we play in the world. And as experience designers, going back to our trade, you create experience kind of architectures that tend to look and act differently compared to what I think we've been doing over the last decade or so. Yeah, so you look into trajectories of meaningful routes and journeys for consumers in that space. And this is a typical kind of example of a first artifact that comes out of such a practice. That's why I'm showing it. Yeah, so it's quite sketchy to begin with. It has certain key dimensions. It doesn't look at all the details, so it's quite conceptual to start off with. But it gives you a potential way into an opportunity space for further exploration. Yeah, so a lot of work still needs to happen, but you give a sense of direction coming out of a design practice. So, as a practice, what you do, and that's our role, our differentiation compared to other design functions in the business, is try to preempt that complexity early on. Instead of what is kind of in fashion in business is managing out the risks and then go into that linear 2x2 grid, is do the opposite. Embrace the complexity. Accept that everything in the world is quite messy. Try to make sense out of that and build a very structured kind of approach into that. Yeah, it's not always comfortable for people in a practice, to be honest. I'm currently recruiting and looking into, okay, is this a threat for a person, or there's also individuals that are, very, very comfortable in that ambiguity. Yeah, and that's the people that you wanna pull in. It should not be a threat for anyone. Yeah? It is an alien body in a quite structured environment, and like viruses, if you feel a bit sick, your body will just try to get rid of it. Yeah, that's a typical thing for systemic design as well. Yeah, it's really kind of uncomfortable to have. At the same time, you need to have it. Yeah, it's this constant tension between the two. In the end, the key value, all we do, only has value if you come out with a positioning. It's about confidence. What you find as a meaningful direction, you need to kind of take that with a lot of confidence. It's not that you are right, but all those ingredients together give you the ability to have a position on something that is quite unstructured and multidimensional, multifaceted by definition. So in terms of process description, you can already see it by the nature of how it is drawn. It's meant to be a bit messy, a bit organic, to counter the more linear thinkers in a business. But the key aspect is coming out with an opinion, have a position, and defend that.